Hello folks, welcome back to the channel with no theme. In this video I want to make a D23 Expo 2026 trip report. It was held on August 14th through the 16th, 2026. My wife and I only went on Sunday, August 16th, so that's what we're going to talk about for this video. So for those of you who don't know, D23, which apparently they changed the name to D23, the Ultimate Disney Fan Event. I'm going to call it D23 Expo. It's shorter and it rolls off the tongue better. It's this big fan event that is held every 2 years at Anaheim Convention Center. And it's just this big event for fans to come and kind of celebrate Disney, like all things Disney. And they make announcements. There's Disney legend ceremonies. There's performances. It's a big Disney celebration. So my wife and I went down on Sunday. It opened up at 9 a.m. We got there close to 10 a.m. We parked at Anaheim Garden Walk, which is about a 12 to 15 minute walk to the Anaheim Convention Center. And we came in unprepared, no plan, which depending on your style, it's either going to work or not. We could have done with a little more planning. What we like is we just like walking around and seeing what's cool, what's good, and we like freebies. We're Filipino. I think it's embedded into our DNAs. We like buffets and free stuff. So we just like walking around to the different booths and getting free stuff. And there's a ton of photo ops. So the very first thing that we did was we walk in and there's like a huge Hulu section, Disney and Hulu section. So they had this activity which was pretty cool where you have these photo ops. So we went to a bunch. I'll try to insert some into the video. They had like a Scrubs booth. They had an Only Murders in London / Only Murders in the Building booth, which I've never seen. I want to, I just haven't seen it. They had a Devil Wears Prada 2 booth. They had a National Geographic Lion booth. They had a Simpsons 2 booth. They had an Animation Mayhem booth. They had a bunch of like Hulu experiences, right? So what we did was we lined up to get our photo taken. They don't print anything. The D23 employee, whatever, takes our photo with our phone. They gave us these cards and they get a stamp. So each time you line up and get your photo taken, or you don't have to get your photo taken, but you line up, you get to the front, you get your stamp taken, and once you get 4 on the card stamped, you go to the Hulu desk and they give you a mystery pin. And we didn't even know this was a thing. I guess no one knew what this was at first. But so we got our first pin, and then we asked the lady, hey, how many times can we do this? And they're like, you can do this a total of 3 times. So you can each get 3 pins each total. And they scan your badge and they keep track of all that. So we did that 2 times back to back. That was our very first thing that we did when we entered the expo. That's 8 different booths and 8 different photo ops. And honestly, it's fun and it's cool. It's also pretty smart on their marketing team because, like I said, they don't print anything, so we use our own phone. And then what do? We all post it on social media. Free advertising for Zach Braff and Scrubs, you know what I mean? So that was the first thing we do. So then my wife is looking at the map and the itinerary, and then they're like, there's something called 75 Years of Chaos or 75 Years of Wonder, Alice in Wonderland. She's like, hey, let's check this out. We have no idea what it is. I asked her after the fact, hey, did you think it was going to be some sort of like show or performance or like a musical thing? And she was like, yeah. And it wasn't. But what we did is we went up to the 3rd floor to I think it was the Walt Disney Archives stage. And then we lined up in the standby line. And I think I got a short video of that. And there was a lot of people in the standby line. And then we waited a little bit. We, sat, stood, waited a little bit. And then when we were ready, they pulled us into the stage room. There was a lot of people in line, but there was a lot of room in the stage room. So we get in there. They didn't want anyone taking photos or videos because it's a lot of archival stuff. It was basically a presentation like a lot of the art and how it began, and there was a story about how Lewis Carroll didn't initially want this story to be published. He just wrote it as a gift to his friend's daughter, and then the influence of Mary Blair's art on the movie. it was a really cool presentation and a look at the history of how this movie came to be, and then, all the way to present day, and how many painstaking hours they put into cleaning up the movie for the 75th anniversary release. And it was very cool. There were some presenters. It was neat because D23 is huge. Disney is huge. Disney is buying up and owning everything. Like Disney owns Marvel and Star Wars and Pixar and Fox, and that early stuff is really neat, and it's cool to remember that stuff and how the beginnings, or close to the beginnings, were. And it was a pretty cool presentation. I remember the first ride that I took my wife on during our first trip to Disneyland in 2014. And it was Alice. And I remember her being just so awestruck by that ride. And they actually made some adjustments to the rides where I remember these flowers were growing out of nowhere. Like they did some interesting light effects in the ride. And so she's liked Alice in Wonderland. I don't think she's even seen the movie, but she buys like Alice merch and earrings and stuff. But it was pretty cool. And I will say, by the end of the presentation, I wonder if that was just an elaborate way of trying to get people to buy the 4K of Alice in Wonderland. Because if it was, it worked. But anyway, after that, we started to walk around the convention. And the experience, it's really fun. At the same time, it's kind of overwhelming. There's so many places to go and so many things to check out, so many things to do. You can't get to everything in one day. And, I saw some people, there was an option to just get the afternoon pass, which is like 4 to 8 p.m. And if that's the case, your time is really strapped. You have to be really focused and scheduled on what you want to do and what you want to check out. And after the fact, I asked my wife, would you want to go again? I asked her if she wanted to do 3 days. She's like, 3 days is too much. It's like Anime Expo, 3 days. It's a lot of walking. It's just too much. She said 2 days might be okay. I don't know if there's a 2-day option. And I don't know if you're able to buy a Saturday pass and a Sunday pass I'm not sure how that works. I know there's a 3-day option and there's individual day option. But we didn't get to everything by the end of the day. And I don't even think, I was looking at the map, I don't think we went to Hall D at all. I was looking at the map, I don't think we did. And I will say there was one time we were lining up for the Walt Disney Company store to go in and check out the merch. And this employee comes up to us and is like, are you in the virtual queue? And we're like, no. And they're like, then you can't line up right now. Sorry. So we were not allowed to line up for the company store. And then 2 seconds later, I'm like walking off. This other lady employee comes up to us and like, can you move over there? You can't stand here. Can you move just over there? And the feeling that I had was that it made me want to die. And, a lot of movies have the theme of death, so I guess it was appropriate? I don't know. We would have liked to at least gone into the store and check out some of the stuff, and they were just like, no, you got to be in the virtual queue. That's it. There were a lot of freebies. Just walking around, there's a lot of giveaways. There was a Hexed booth, which I don't know anything about, but it's an upcoming, I think, CGI animated movie. And there's a little photo op. And then at the end, they give you a free poster, which was very cool. There was something called Mundo Pixar, which I gotta say, we waited about 80 minutes, let's say, to get into the thing, and we went through it and it was kind of cool, but at the end I was still a little confused on what Mundo Pixar is. From my limited understanding of what it is we waited in line, we got in there, and then it's just kind of these huge, more photo ops. They're like photo opportunities. So the first one was like Toy Story. So everything was huge. So it gave you the kind of illusion that you are a toy and you are looking at everything from the perspective that you're miniature and you're small. So there was like this huge bed, and there was like a Buzz Lightyear. I think there was a Woody. And so that was cool. Then we go to the next room and it was Inside Out. So there's joy, there's sadness, and you take more photo ops. And then that was it. Then you exit, and then there was some merch. I kind of wanted to get it because my name is Edmund and it said Mundo. And in high school Spanish, my teacher was like, Edmundo. Anyway, fun story. No? Okay. But because it said Mundo Pixar is touring the world, and I'm like, so you're gonna bring these huge elaborate sets across the world? I don't know. I guess it made me think that it was some sort of either performance or movie that they showed across the world. I don't know. I was a little confused, but anyway, the last thing we did in the night was probably the coolest thing. It was the Loungefly Pier, I think it was called. So we line up. Everything was a line, and when everything is a line, it can get kind of overwhelming. So keep that in mind for 2028 and beyond, whatever. They only do this every 2 years. Although I looked it up, and they're having some sort of D23 in Singapore next year, I believe. And so Loungefly Pier, we go in, and you have to make a purchase. So they have all these things for sale. They have Loungefly. They have mini bags. They have pins. They have shirts. So at Loungefly, like my wife and I each got like mystery shirts and mystery bag charms and some pins. And then after that, if you make a purchase, you are able to play these games. So they had like 5 games set up, but you can only play 3. So you play 3 and you get tokens as rewards. And depending on how many points you get, you're able to redeem them for more prizes. And I think my wife got 2 mystery pins and I got 3 mystery pins. And so that was pretty fun. The whole expo, I think it takes a lot of organization. And Loungefly Pier, I feel like it was organized pretty well, although Loungefly Pier was getting pretty crowded, especially in the games area. So we did take a break from time to time. We got a pretzel at one point because we got hungry. And there's snack options throughout the convention center. There's, water bottles and water refilling stations. My wife brought a reusable bottle, and I read that it has to be empty to go in. And I think we had ice and water in it, and it was not an issue. But overall, we had a good time. Pretty disappointed that we were not able to go into the Walt Disney Company store. There was a bunch of the shops that we didn't get around to. When we were in line for the Loungefly Pier, we could see Mickey's of Glendale right there, but we just ran out of time. We left around 7 p.m. and the thing closed at 8 p.m. So yeah, it was fun. Just know that the whole experience, it's kind of like Disneyland minus the rides and attractions and stuff, but you line up for everything. There's a lot to do and a lot to see, and you just can't see and do everything. So I think we could have and should have prepared maybe a little bit more. There was something on there that my wife saw it was something with Alan Menken that we wanted to go and see, but we were just enjoying ourselves walking around and checking everything out. And then after the fact, my wife saw that Lea Salonga was performing. I think she was there. One thing I didn't really understand is some things required a separate purchase or a separate ticket, I think, to go to the Honda Center. I didn't look into all that. I just got D23 Sunday ticket. I guess trying to go in cold and winging it is not the best strategy, but overall, we had a good time. We had a fun time. That's all I have to say about that. Let me know if you have any questions or feedbacks or thoughts in the comments below. That's all I got for this video. Thanks for watching. Say hi to your pets for me.